Okay, welcome back. And U.S. presidential election surprises, lessons for Nigeria. And our thanks once more to Mr. Richard Ogunrotifa, policy development analyst and good governance advocate, who was with us in the first segment of the program. Now, Mr. Femi Ojukutu remains, and we are joined by Modupe Ajibola. Mr. Ajibola is the founder of VARE, V-A-R-E, Voters' Access to Representatives in Election. He's also in the U.S. So a fine morning to you, Modupe Ajibola.
Morning. How are you this morning?
Yeah, thank you. Now, we started the conversation, but at this stage, I wonder if we could just turn our minds a bit to what the world can really expect from a Trump presidency. He's been a unique character, and so let me just get your thoughts on what the world is. No, I was going to say what the world is up against, but I shouldn't phrase it that way. What America has for the world, because it's the policies largely in America that stay. The presidents come and go, but the policies stay. Take, for example, the situation in the Middle East with Israel and all of that. That stays. Presidents come and go, but that stays, where the U.S. will be supporting Israel. So what are your thoughts on what the world can look forward to, even including Africa?
Yeah, so I happen to, thank you for having me today. I happen to have a front row seat to this issue on this election because my platform, as you know, was, we used it quite a bit to collect data from voters before the election. So the goal of it was to help voters know how to be aligned with their reps and what issues and policies matter to them the most, so that they could know who to go vote for. We saw a trend before the election that voters were anxious about the economy because inflation was a big issue and how inflation was affecting income. So even though for the Democrats, I'm digressing a little bit, going backwards so I can go forward.
It's all right.
Even though the Democrats had actually, in some of their efforts, brought down the unemployment, they did not realize that the inflation and also the inability to create higher wages for people was creating a stifling experience for white America, specifically white America. And white America was anxious about that. And we kept saying it that this is a big issue, but it was a missed opportunity for the Democrats to explain what they were going to do moving forward, right, to help that situation. Instead, they kept claiming a great economy when people were feeling the pain. Now, having said that, another big issue to people was war. They were tired. Americans claimed, and anyway, in theory, that they were tired of the war. Survey after survey, they kept saying, we're tired of wars, we don't want to go to war, and we think that Trump will be the right president to avoid those wars. This has not bared out yet, and the troubling part for most citizens is that, especially those that did not vote for him, did not feel the same sentiments, because obviously we know the relationship with Trump and Netanyahu from Israel. We also know the relationship of Trump with Russia. So most folks were actually more concerned that, yes, if indeed the wars end, it would be because the demoralization of those that are in the war, one side of the war or the other, which means Ukraine may actually have to give in to Russia totally, and Netanyahu would have his way in Israel, and so on and so forth. So it's a conundrum. U.S. is facing a big conundrum because on one hand they don't want the war anymore, but on the other hand, Israel believes that Trump is a better ally for them with some of the wars they're fighting, and it feels like it would have better reign to deal with Iran and the rest of them in the Middle East. So I'm not sure what is in it for the rest of the world, but I do know that they're in for some interesting time. However, some have also argued that the Trump we knew before is not the same Trump now, right? This new Trump doesn't want to, is more collaborative, is more interested in working with people that will work with him. So it would be a missed opportunity for folks not to engage him because they lost an election. But I think both sides should really engage him now because There's no monopoly to U.S. presidency. He's the president of the United States of America. So the folks on the left and right are now beginning to think of this thing differently and how to engage Trump and see how they can actually influence him to continue to support American interests overseas. But make no mistake, Europe is shaken. Everybody is uncertain. But the economists are saying that uncertainty in Trump's politics, antics, is what makes America great. Some have argued that is what makes the America's adversary behave themselves, because they don't know to the extent of what is craziness, if you were to describe it as that, would lead to. So all of this hasn't beared itself out, but time will tell.
Indeed. Femi Ojukwu, as regards Africa, President Trump, in his first time out, I'm not too sure that he cared very much about offending Africa, quote unquote. Every president has to be a diplomat in chief. So, but still, from the rhetoric that we've heard from President Trump towards Nigeria and Nigerians and Africans, I don't know what really to expect from him. He's called us all sorts of unmentionable names, in particular our country, that I don't even want to repeat here. Now that this is his final term, he can't go beyond this because he would have served 2 terms. Do you think we're likely to see any change in the character sketch of the man as we see it in Africa here?
Yeah, Yori, that's a wonderful question. And we should understand the fact that as far as President Trump is concerned, he doesn't reckon with Africa. I mean, from his past policies, he's not even thinking about Africa. And they believe that, Africa contributes about 2 to 5% of the GDP to the world. So what is Africa? The only thing they are interested in is what they can get from Africa, and that is US. US interest is very paramount in anything they do. They want to make sure that there's something in it for them. If there's nothing, they don't care. So, and even when Obama was there, the expectation of Africa was very, very high, and nothing really happened because Obama is not just the one that will push the button. There are policy and procedure which they need to kind of follow to get to that point. And he doesn't have any vested interest in Africa. So I'm not even sure if he visited Africa all through his 4-year term. And let us know now that he's not coming back again after this term. And he has, eventually he will have the Senate, he has the presidency, he has the Senate, he will have the House of Representatives, and he also has the Supreme Court. And we should also remember that he now has immunity to do whatever he wants. So he has the Justice Department, and they have Project 2025, which has kind of outlined what the government will look like. So if you want to have an idea of it, if you Google it, you see Project 2025, and you see what he intends to do, regarding his tenure. Although he denied being part of that, but there's a lot of connection between him and the project, which kind of spells out what the expectations should be. And one thing you should notice, observe, is before they even announced, before they declared the winner, because the votes were still going on, they've not even counted all the electoral votes. Some countries already congratulated him. It's like, oh, this man has come again. I have to quickly, because Trump is vindictive. He will check and say, oh, you didn't congratulate me until after 24 hours. You'll be in trouble. That country is in trouble. You will see the president of Ukraine quickly congratulated him because he knows that he will come in there and he will withdraw all the support for Ukraine, and he will just hand over Ukraine to the US, to Russia. Who knows?
Yes.
So that instability is
who he has a very, very good relationship with, the president of Russia.
Yeah. Yes, and that's one of the things. And as the other my colleague here said, is something that people are afraid of. They don't know what's going to do next. And in terms of Israel, the problem, and one of the things that affected this election is people. Is what the mandate that Trump has now is a total mandate. When I say total, it's total mandate. He wants all the Father of Ver can say that all the geographies, the Muslims, the Jews, women, young ones, all of them voted for him. And there's something fundamentally wrong with the way Democrats kind of follow up on their programs. The problem is that they do not know how to prosecute their case. Now, in terms of economics, they will tell you that the GDP of America is better than what it was in 2020 or 2016. They will tell you that unemployment is very low. They will tell you interest rate is this, all this. Look, on the street, and that's what a clue Nigerians should take. On the street, people do not know what is GDP. I don't know what is interest rate.
I hear you.
I don't know what is employment
I hear you.
rate.
But
What
one
I
moment,
know
please.
is-
I hear you, Femi. Indeed, I hear you and I agree with you. But we must bring in this caller, Mazi Okoroafo, who has called in from Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, Mazi Okoroafo from Arochukwu. Honestly speaking, well, congratulations to President Donald Trump. That is the strong man in our present day world. At least God has made it. Now, there are things we have to learn out from President Trump's election. We saw what happened during campaign. From Obama, from Harris, from every other angle, especially the former president from Obama. Upon all the things, Americans decided to say, this is what they want. What is Trump? Trump said, Trump will fix it. America first. He didn't say his family first. He didn't say his tribe first. He didn't say his religion first. He didn't say his community first. He said America. America means the whole community, everybody that says that word, have that blood of America. That is his own target. This is what we have to learn. Now, we have seen how the election went. As the election was going on, everything was so dead. Nobody was complaining. And we have to see what happened. Everybody is aware of it during the campaign. We saw at least Harris was very, very vocal. At least he speaks very well, very plainly, at least as a judge of the Federal Court of America. He knows all the case of the law. I think now Trump,
A prosecutor, actually.
So many things. All these so many things in terms of weight of 20,000 of them. I come from France. Pope Francis said, Americans, go and vote for the two evils, not the lesser evil. That was, I quote unquote, Pope Francis. Americans, go and vote for the lesser evil. Now they have now decided to vote for them. Now, what are we going to learn from them? So at least, for me, my own ideology, at least, as I specifically what I've seen, Trump is going to try as much as possible all these crises in Gaza, all these crises in Palestine, all these crises in Kuwait, all these places and Ukraine, Russia, name them. He's going to put it at least a stop to it, even the ball that's trying to ball up in Iraq. Why?
Okay. Mazi, I'm afraid I have to return to our guest, but thank you very much, Mazi, for calling in. Modukwe, on that particular point, well, Trump has always, President Trump is President Trump. I don't know that he's the biggest diplomat around. He speaks his mind. He will say it the way he sees it. He will call it the way he sees it. And it's being said that the president is not, interested in any wars. As you would have heard him say, he'll fix any war situation in 3 days, in 1 week. He's going to fix it. I don't know. What do you think of him in this? He speaks. He has a braggadocio way of speaking. He calls foreign presidents nicknames. And so what do you think? Now that he probably is looking at his presidency through the lens of this second chance that he has, do you think there's going to be much of a difference in the man as opposed to what we've seen before?
So the man Trump himself, by his very existence, is policies are built around him. Trump himself, I don't think, cares so much to govern, and I don't even think he plans to govern. What happens is whoever is around Trump, whoever is pandering to his awareness about issues, will be the one that wins the day. We've known this, and that this can be an advantage actually for both Democrats and Republicans that can manage to galvanize around him. What he's going to do, based on his pattern, is going to listen to those that are more loyal and committed to him looking good and winning, right? And if those people can be more vocal than the other, they will determine what happens. But as far as a mandate to end wars, you can always say that to end a war, you have to go to war, right? You have to go to war and annihilate your enemy to end a war. So any which way, there's so many paths to ending a war or to not having continuous war. And this is the rhetoric that I believe will be seeing whenever if Trump finds himself in a position where he cannot stop a war, he would have to, exacerbate or even increase the what do you call it, the rhetoric about the consequence of that war so that it doesn't happen at all. So these are the things I believe that his voters are going to experience when Trump is in power. So I don't think Trump himself has the power to stop Israel from continuing to do what it's doing. But however, he has the power to tell Iran and the rest of those Middle Eastern countries that, look, if they don't comply with certain things, he's going to go all out along with Israel, or he's going to do certain things. And because of the uncertainty about Trump, those folks might actually stand back, knowing that they don't have any recourse if indeed Trump does what he's supposed to do. So Trump's strength itself is in his uncertainty. And folks in the liberal side never understood it. They actually thought the strength the Republicans were talking about was in his braggadocio. It wasn't that. It was in his uncertainty, the inability to predict what the man would do.
All right. Let me come back to you, Femi. It is being thought that illegal immigrants are about to, be in for a very hot time. Some people have even, omitted the word illegal, and I've just talked about immigrants, that Trump is anti-immigrants, especially black immigrants, is the way they phrase it. Whether that is, whether there's any evidence for that is another question altogether. But
Well, I have a thought on that. If because we've been collecting data on that. If you want me to chime into that right quick.
Okay, but let me take it. I'll come back to you for it in closing. So let me take it from Femi first, please.
So you didn't finish the question.
Oh, the notion that illegal immigrants are about to catch hell, that Trump actually doesn't mind putting boots on the street to mop up illegal immigrants. I am inserting the word illegal, but when people are in conversation, they talk about immigrants generally. Are they making a mountain out of an anthill in that regard, or do you think will be revealed once President Trump is up and running?
Yes, as Udupe said, that the uncertainty and the braggadocio is what works. During the 2016 campaign, it was the fact that he was going to deport 60 million immigrants, undocumented immigrants. I'm not sure he did 1 million. He said he was going to build a wall around the whole place, and Mexico was going to pay for it. He did not do that. He said he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare. He did not do it. He said he was going to do infrastructure for the whole period. Every year they would do infrastructure week. He did not do it. So most times what he says and what he panders to is what America wants to hear, and that's what he says, just for him to get there.
All right,
yes.
I get you. I'm sorry, we're running out of time. But thank you very much. Now, let me return to Modupe, because you wanted to weigh in on this whole matter of an alleged anti-immigrant, black immigrant policy especially.
Yeah, so there's something Trump had mentioned right in the rally, the Aliens Enemies Act of 1798, that allowed the government unilateral power to even deport the likes of citizens based on crimes and so on and so forth. And if you know the RICO Act by federal government, this you don't have to be yourself the criminal, you just have to be part of a criminal association. So in which case, and there's been sentiments that deporting citizens is not enough. You need to deport them and their family members if you find out that they're part of one of them is part of some crime. We believe that some of Trump's associates are really, really keen on this area. It's not Trump himself, like your other guest said. Trump himself wanted to win an election and figured what the people were complaining about. And in fact, one of his biggest immigration ambition is based around what he feels like the economy needs. It feels like the foreigners are taking jobs for so-called black folks, and if he can get rid of as many of them, it would somehow create a pocket of opportunity for Americans to be able to employ in those jobs. Make no mistake, because during the Obama administration, there was revenue that he brought in that came in for him to spend to reduce taxes, which was a big deal in his first term. In this time, there's really no revenue. So, and they're not going to be collecting more revenue, which means they have to make cuts. And they have to make cuts in government, and they have to get rid of foreigners real time this time around, because there's really not enough jobs in America for both the illegal immigrants, the legal citizens even, that are criminals have to go. That's their mindset, that if we can get rid of this set, and I speak to Republicans in Austin and several areas that supported the campaign, his campaigns, they are really pushing this agenda, and they will be the one pushing the agenda on him. So even if he doesn't want to do it, the Republicans, the MAGA people really want this. They want a bunch of citizens that have any sort of record. They will hand them right over to the federal government. And because he has the federal government power, now he can deport them real time.
You used a word in the MAGA, Make America Great Again. I want to thank you very much, Modukwa Ajibola, founder of Voters Access to Representatives in Election, who joined us via Zoom from America. And of course, thanks also to Femi Ojikutu, National Strategist, Boot Party of Nigeria, and lawyer, as well as a chartered accountant and social commentator. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right then.
Nice.
Okay, so that's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folari. Bye-bye for now.